Watch the ride.
Sync. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Hey everybody, yes I am still on the BSA. Basically this was supposed to go back last week. I've got it on loan for them to do a review series, which I've already done. But there was a logistical change around and they basically said it's easier for us if we pick it up in a week and you can have it for another week if you want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem there. So I've got it for next week. Anyway, I was just grabbing some shopping. I was planning on doing a video on the way home. And as I came out the shops, I noticed somebody very close to it having a look over it. And I'm like, that's fine, you know, it's what I have it for. It's so it gets out and about, it gets seen by people, gets discussed. However, when I got back on the bike and I turned the ignition on, the hazards were on, and I have not switched that hazard switch once since I've had this bike, and I definitely didn't touch it getting off of the bike, which meant the guy that was looking at it started playing with the switches. I think it kind of goes without saying, do not touch people's bikes. You can walk up to them, you can look at them, you can admire them, but you should not be laying a single finger on it. And definitely not switching switches. The funny thing is, he didn't see me walk out the shop and I saw him at the bike and then walking away from the bike. And then I got on it and then he came back over and was like asking me questions about it. And it's like, dude, I know what you just did. Get your fingers off it. Get your grubby little mitts off it. I'm sorry, that is a big deal for me. You know, there is absolutely no problem with looking at cars and looking at bikes and stuff like that, admiring them. Crap, I don't even care if you take a picture. But the second you touch a bike, and then I know some people have gone back to their bike and found people sat on it, which is another thing, which I've talked about in the past. You know, it's like when you see posts from car shows where people take their cars to a show and then they come back to find scratches all over the side of it where people have been walking up against it with like their jeans or their belt or something, or it's covered in really sticky handprints because someone's let their little kid get their jammy little hands all over it. And I get that, you know, it can be cleaned, it can be polished. Hello, cows! It's not the point, it's about respect. It's about it being another person's possession. What's also interesting is the guy knew about this bike and knew a few things about them and was asking me how I found it. So he comes across as someone who might be a biker. What are you doing switching switches on someone else's bike? I'm really glad that I managed to just keep my cool for a moment and be like, yeah, cool, okay, bye. I totally get that you might be very interested in a motorcycle and you want to, know something maybe about the way that the switches feel or something like that, but go and do that in a place that's selling it. Don't just walk up to someone else's bike and start playing with their switches. I actually am shocked, you might say, that someone would actually do that and then come up to you and start asking you questions. I mean, he probably had no idea that he'd left the hazards on. I'm sure some of you are going to have stories, to do with people touching your bike or you coming back to finding someone sat on it, as I say, it is worse, definitely, because there's a much bigger chance of them damaging the bike. But fiddling with switches just irks me. It irks me because it's playing with the controls, which is just such a But anyway, let's not talk about that anymore. Right, I need to go to the other Tesco's now because this is what I have to do a lot now because basically they're now both so rubbish that I actually have to go to one or the other to normally get the stuff I want in one day. I don't really understand what's going on with Tesco's. Right, well, Tesco's didn't have what I needed either, so we're on a little hunt around the island. Great. Thwarted again? This is happening a lot lately around here. So, like, dinner. We just wanted a pizza that comes in like a 3-part meal deal. Tried to get it up in one and haven't. Didn't have the sauce that we have and we don't like the other one, so you can't do the deal. We go to the local one, they don't have it either, so we're like, alright, fine, we'll do something different for dinner. But part of that requires us to get sour cream, okay? Local Tesco doesn't sell sour cream. Just gone to that store, doesn't sell sour cream. I didn't do it. What in the crapola? Wait, that car is not pulling over. Right, back in a second. Hopefully with some sour cream. Success! Success, I got sour cream. I won't have to go back off the island to buy stuff to cook us dinner. Honestly. Let's head down that way and see what the old Rozzers are up to. It is the Land Rover! The police were following that Land Rover. That was the slowest police chase I have ever seen, or they just didn't know they were there because they're that oblivious. But there was 2 cars on them, which is the really odd thing. Oh well, in the face of all this adversity, we've made it through. We have our sour cream and our switches are now unmolested. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked it. As I say, tell me about any instances you have, stories to do with people touching bikes. Any negative repercussions out the back of that. Like, let me know. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you do watch me and you're able to help, please consider supporting me through Patreon or YouTube memberships. I know it's not an easy time in the world that we're living in right now, but it is literally like $1 a month, there's £1 a month, roughly. Less than 2. We're talking less than half a pint a month. If you'd be willing to buy me half a pint, then I'd appreciate if you're willing to support me on Patreon or YouTube memberships, with benefits to you too. Anyway, till the next one. Bye bye. Oh, hey!